Alright guys, we're kind of at the end of the disassembly process. What we're looking at here is basically the crankcase. Let me remove this for you. Basically the crankcase with the crankshaft, connecting rod and piston. That's about all there is left to take out of this thing. So we come to a decision we have to make here, and that's whether or not to split the crankcase. I really didn't want to at first because I didn't know how available gaskets would be and that sort of thing to put it back together. But I think I've worked out a solution for that, and because it's been sitting for 30 years, I know majority of those years have been outside. That's where I got the saw. It's been sitting outside in the pasture for probably 4 years, through every season. So I'm afraid those seals have dried out. And as I spin this oiler here, it's just a little, or the crankcase beside the oiler, it's just a little tight. It's a little gritty. So I kind of want to replace those bearings as well. I just think that's the right thing to do. Since I'm tearing into it this far and plan to do a full restoration on it, I would be remiss to not split the cases and take care of everything while I have it apart and I don't have to do this again. So as you can see, I've already kind of started splitting them. The proper way to do this is to get a case splitter that goes through the top here, and it's like basically a big C-clamp that presses against the end of the crankshaft and then the inside of the case, and it pulls them apart. I've been doing a little research, ran across a YouTube video where they just apply heat using a propane torch, which I have over here, and just a soft hammer and hammer away at it until it splits. That's what I did to get it to this point, but I wanted to stop and videotape the rest of the process to show you guys, just capture it at least. And then we'll tear into the inside, we'll clean up these two cases, and then start making a plan for putting it back together. I did get something in the mail today that this saw needed, but I'll wait to share that with you until the rebuild process, and give a shout out to the gentleman who allowed me to purchase it from him. So I look forward to sharing that with you guys. Let's get to work splitting these cases. So we're going to heat this up. Hopefully without setting off the fire alarm. Actually, before we do that, I need to reapply this bit of paper towel here that's going to protect the piston from smacking against the case as we hammer on this. On top of that, there's a little breather tube or fuel filter or oil filter or something in here that I would like to tape up, but it's not accessible quite yet. So some welding gloves because it does get hot. Well, that came apart rather quickly. Doesn't seem to have hurt anything. Now we need to hammer out the crankshaft out the other way. Just gotta be real gentle here and pull this gasket off. I don't think I'll have to reuse it. Just in case, you definitely don't want to tear it. So we're not using anything sharp. We got this pick tool under there, and we're just using the round part of the shaft here to pull that gasket off. Slow and steady. Not forcing anything. You want to be real careful around these thinner parts, around the screw holes. That's where it likes to tear, because that's where the pressure's focused as it's pressed together. So we're just going to keep working this here. It's coming off relatively easy. Alright, here's a point we need to watch. It's getting a little tough. Clear some of this debris off. Here's kind of where I'm worried is this pin here. I don't know how tightly it's pressed against it. So kind of, okay. Slowly work our way, there it goes. I should be able to lift it right off. Alright, and there it is, complete gasket. Hopefully I can show you guys how I plan to recreate one of these. That would be interesting. Alright, I'm going to set this out of the way so it doesn't get torn as we work on the rest of this.